Shalom, family. This is Yuda Yasharel, and I'm hoping that you guys are having a blessed day. All praises to the Most High. Today's lesson is kind of strange, and I know I said in the past that I wouldn't do any more new moon lessons, but I realized something. There are some sincere seekers out there, and the last thing that I need to do is abandon those who are seeking the truth. So with that being said, I would like to mention reading the wrong books will give you the wrong information. Now, the brother that wrote into me this morning, his heart is sincere. I know this brother, and I know he's determined to find the truth. What he's going through, me and my wife went through about a year ago. And man, I mean, it was a journey, but we found it. We persevered, and we found it. So I want to help this brother and anybody else that is confused by this one particular book. And I don't know what book he was reading from, but it made the statement in Psalms 81:3. Blow the trumpet. Now I'm kind of paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly. Well, you know what? Let me just pull it up and see if I can give you the exact quotation. Yeah. I don't know which book he was reading from, but I know he's sincere, and he's not trying to challenge me or debate in such a way as an argument. He really wants to know. So I'm doing this lesson today because I see the need for it. But this is what he read. He said, I'd like to know what you think of this scripture, if you don't mind. Psalms 81:3. And this is how it reads. Blow the horn at the new moon. There's a comma. At the full moon for our feast day. Now, I understand what that's saying, although the way it's written is very confusing, because it can look like it's suggesting that the full moon is the new moon, but that's far from the facts. All right? Now, I don't know what book that was he got that from, but my message to him is get away from that book. So I put a few scriptures up here from several different books, some which I don't read from, but I just wanted to show examples of what it really says. So let's start with the Septuagint. Psalms 81:3. Now blow the trumpet at the new moon in the glorious day of your feast. See, the new moon is a feast day. Yes, it is a feast day. But you notice it didn't separate the new moon from the full moon. It didn't even mention the full moon. And I'll read it again for the sake of clear understanding. Blow the trumpet at the new moon in the glorious day of your feast. Now let's go to Psalms 81:3 in the ESV. Blow the ram's horn on the day of the new moon feast. Blow it again when the moon is full and the feast of booths begins. Now this is very precise. This lines up with this. All right, only here it didn't tell us to go and blow the shofar at the full moon. We should already know that. If we study the books, not the copies, not the imposters, but if we study the true books, we will get our information right. They didn't take the Sefer out of the Torah for no reason. They had a reason for doing that. And this is why they did it. They wanted to keep us confused. So don't be scared to read that book. That's where you're going to find your information. But you see the difference. Look, blow the ram's horn on the day of the new moon feast. Blow it again when the moon is full and the feast of booths begins. That's 15 days. Now let me ask you something. My brother is under the impression that the full moon is the new moon. Okay? What does that mean? That means that in the beginning year, we have a new year, biblical new year, that begins with the new moon. During that time, we harvest our crops. Now, if you were going by the full moon as the new moon, guess what? You're going to be late for harvest. You're going to be 15 days late for harvest. And you also are going to fall right back in to the Gregorian man-made calendar. The full moon is not the new moon. In fact, the full moon is at half past its phase, its cycle. Now it's going to start to disintegrate, or what's the word I'm looking for? Disperse its light until it becomes dark. That will mean the moon is empty. And now it's going to start again by being refilled with the sun. That will be the beginning, and I'm going to show it to you. I got it here.
There's an increase and there's a decrease. There's an increase and there's a decrease.
Yes. The increase is the beginning. The decrease is the going through the cycle where the moon is emptying its light. So when you see full moon, it's halfway through its cycle of decrease. All right, so let's move on. Now let me read that same chapter and verse in the King James Version. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day. Let me just highlight that. On our solemn feast day. All right? Did y'all get that? Is that clear? Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed. That is the new moon. That's the feast day. That's when you blow the shofar. And that is also a solemn feast day. That's what it's saying. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the Most High of Jacob. Now, I wanted to explain some things here about how this cycle works. And I'm going to try to do it as best as I can. But we have a waxing crescent. Now, everybody knows what a crescent is. It is a sliver. I remember when I used to get these breakfast meals, and they would serve it on the crescent. They call it a croissant, yeah. And it was shaped like the crescent of the new moon. So this is what the crescent looks like. I did a video a couple of months ago, maybe a few weeks ago, I don't remember, where I showed you the pictures of what this sliver of light looks like. That's called the crescent. All right? So this is what we're looking for, because if the new moon is dark, then how can you see it? And the Most High said that we must blow the shofar at the sighting of the new moon. That means you have to see it. If it's dark, you can't see it. If it's a full moon, then it's not the new moon. All right? So waxing crescent. Waxing means that the illuminated portion of the moon is increasing. That is a beginning. It has to start at the beginning, which is not going to be a full moon of light. It's going to start in its phases. It's going to start with a crescent. I call it a sliver because it's just a thin glow of light around the edge of the moon. In the waxing crescent phase, only a crescent-shaped sliver is visible to us. Now let's look at Enoch. See, these are the books that y'all been programmed to stay away from. And I used to be the same way, but when I realized the reason why, I was so pissed off because I realized that's how they hid the truth from me. That's how they hide it from you. Because most of our people, they're scared of these books. And that's exactly what they wanted you to feel. Fear. Enoch, chapter 78, verses 12 through 14. And on the first day, let's highlight that. It is called the new moon. On the first day. How is the full moon the beginning of the month? How is it the first day? When you see the new moon, look at the day that you see it. It is not the first day of the month, not the biblical first day. So you got to separate the two. The biblical first day and the Gregorian first day, they are not the same. So on the first day, it is called the new moon. For on that, daylight rises on it. Verse 13. And its light becomes full exactly on the day that as the sun goes down in the west, it rises from the east for the night. And the moon shines for the whole night until the sun rises opposite to it. And the moon is seen opposite the sun. Verse 14. And on the side on which the light, now y'all pay attention to this. And on the side on which the light of the moon appears, there again it wanes until all its light does what? Disappears. And the days of the moon end, and its disk remains empty without light. Now, Enoch, chapter 79, verses 2 to 3. And he showed me the whole law for these, for every day, and for every time, and for every rule, and for every year, and for the end thereof, according to its command, for every month and every week, and the waning of the moon, which occurs in the sixth gate. For in that sixth gate its light becomes full. And after that, okay, now we're leaving the full moon. And now, after we leave the full moon, we began a new month. After that, it is the beginning of the month. That's the reason you see the little thin sliver of light. That is the beginning of a new month. I hope that this helps y'all understand. And I cannot encourage you enough. Get you a Sefer Bible. Get you a Septuagint. And use those two books together. Trust me, you will get a much better understanding on what was said, what was meant, what happened, why it happened. All of those questions will be answered. You still have to study, but it's going to make things a lot easier for you.
They complement each other.
They complement each other. So don't let these heathens program you to be scared of these books. I have heard sayings that, oh, Jasher is a forgery. And they said that because they were trying to find an author for the book of Jasher. But see, there was no author by the name of Jasher. Enoch wrote that book. But that name, Jasher, is not the name of a man. It is a title of a thing. And that thing is the book of upright. That's what Jasher means. Named after the Most High. That's the book that was given to Moses at Mount Sinai. That's why they don't want you to have it. So I'm going to end this lesson here, and I want y'all, please, look this video over several times until you get it. Get these books and study. Shalom.